Oh my god, this is like a John Woo film.
Hey, what's up internet? It's the artist here, Virtual Bacon. Just remastering another episode for our new YouTube channel called the Salt Shakers FGC. Before we begin, I just want to give shoutouts to the Omen Squad and Omen by HP for their support, and Standing Fierce for always running awesome events for our local scene in New Zealand. So yeah, if you guys like the stuff that we put out, be sure to follow us, Salt Shakers FGC or Salt Shakers NZ FGC on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, our individual Twitters, and now we're on Spotify. So yeah, without further ado, here we go.
Welcome to the Super Salt Shaker Podcast. Drax. The next podcast.
Well, hello there everyone. How's everyone going? How's everyone doing? My name is Drax, and I'll be taking the lead for the show today. So just before we have War, Waikato Arena Rampage, we have a very special guest with us, Clockw0rk. Daniel, how are you, man?
I'm doing alright. How about yourself?
Yeah, doing good, man, doing good. Hopefully it's good weather over there. We've just had a storm recently. Cars being knocked down by trees.
Oh shit.
No, it's so bad, man. So yeah, just to start off, you're actually from... Am I correct to say that you're from Taiwan?
I'm from LA. I'm from Los Angeles. I was in Taiwan for almost a year for work, but I'm back now.
Oh, okay. In California, right?
Yeah, in California, Los Angeles.
Ah, yeah. What's the best thing about California?
The best thing about California is easily the weather, the food, and, in my opinion, the multiculturalism.
The multiculturalism.
In my opinion, yeah.
Ah, yeah. They got any good food places over there too?
So yeah, the thing is, in LA, if you want something, let's say if I wanted the most authentic Mexican food, and I go to Mexico and it's a 10 out of 10. If I go to China, it's a 10 out of 10 or whatever, right? In California, you can find that same stuff, but it'll be a 9 out of 10.
Oh yeah. Well, that's USA, isn't it? It's always about, giving you the best day. USA. So obviously you're a Marvel player, which, I mean, if anyone touches the game, that's the law. They should know who you are at least.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. You're a Strider, you play Strider. What's the team that you're using at the moment?
In Marvel Infinite, I'm rotating between a few teams. I use Strider combined with Black Widow, with Space, with Winter Soldier, still figuring out the stone, and my strongest team is probably Strider, Monster Hunter, Soul.
Oh, have you abandoned Gamora? Are you not using Gamora at all?
You know what, I use her a little bit still. It's just that I'm juggling a lot of characters, and I'm typically I typically don't when I used to play fighting games like back in the day, it was to the point where I could play at least half the cast, sometimes the whole cast. Like if I play CVS2, I could play random select, but generally for Marvel, I kind of stick to only what I play, usually because I either really like it that much, or I just think that I still have, more boundary pushing to do. So for example, Marvel 2, I almost exclusively used Sentinel, Strider, Doom. In Marvel 3, I towards the second half of it, I used almost exclusively Virgil, Doom, Strider. But I find myself using a ton of different characters, for me at least, a ton, in Marvel Infinite. One, because there's no Doom, right? So since there's no Doom, that means I can kind of shop around a bit. Otherwise, if Doom's in the game, I'd be character locked. And two, I really enjoy the character designs in Marvel Infinite. Like I enjoyed them in the other games as well, but in Marvel Infinite, I really like the characters that I play. And it's kind of weird because the characters I play, besides Strider, I don't even think they really fit my style. But as a result, it kind of lets me exercise some exploration in my game and my style, right?
Yeah.
Be watery.
How would you describe your style? It's not quite the hanging back defensive type, is it? No, it's kind of going in all guns blazing.
Yeah, you know what? It's I play a bit reckless sometimes, but I think what it is that you ever play Final Fantasy Tactics?
No, I haven't.
You ever play XCOM?
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
So I haven't played XCOM, but I think they do something similar in strategy tactics RPGs where, you choose to do an attack and it'll give you this percentage of it connecting, right? You have a 60% chance of this shot hitting. Are you going to take it or not? Kind of thing, right? And in Final Fantasy Tactics, sometimes to do some of the most ridiculous things, it'll be like a 10% chance or 15% chance. I think my game in Marvel is, if I am feeling comfortable, I will take every single opportunity to do something crazy or offensive or weird or sick or whatever that I get, even if it's like a 5% chance, 2% chance. If I see the opportunity, I'll take it. And it gets me in trouble a lot, but sometimes, every now and again, something cool happens.
You kind of need to mix it up a bit, I know. Like, you kind of want to throw a Hail Mary out there.
Yeah, except I'll go for every Hail Mary opportunity I get sometimes.
That just makes the games more exciting, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I like to play.
Oh, yeah. So, do you dedicate any of your time to other games? Like, have you transitioned to playing other games just as passionately?
Well, just as passionately, definitely no.
No Final Fantasy Ventures?
I'm sorry?
No Final Fantasy Ventures?
You know what? When the game first came out, I was going actually really hard into Dissidia. I think Final Fantasy Dissidia NT is really good. It's one of the best games I've played in a really long time, actually. They just recently had an update where they fixed some matchmaking issues and all that. I haven't tried it yet, but yeah, there was like maybe 2 or 3 weeks where it was not that's all I was playing. I took a little break from Marvel, but I'm back now, and I haven't really been playing Dissidia as much, but I really like Dissidia.
It's really good seeing you play Marvel and streaming Marvel, and it's such a weird time because a lot of people aren't streaming that said game. It actually angers people to see It angers people to see others streaming that game. Have you had any weird interactions with people when you're streaming MvCI?
It's just the usual, people pop into the chat, hey, people still play this game, and just stupid shit like that. It's like nothing serious, I wouldn't say.
It's just interesting, the lack of streaming for it, though.
Sorry, say it again?
It's just interesting seeing the lack of streaming for it, though. Like, just on any given weekend, just like, no one is, like, they're playing UMVC3 rather than Infinite.
I don't really pay attention too much to the trends as far as who's streaming what. I just I turn on my stream for my PS3 or for my PS4, most of the time. So I'm not really browsing Twitch or anything like that. But I wouldn't be surprised, right?
Yeah. No, too true. I mean, if you had to change anything about that game, Infinite, what would you personally change?
I think the biggest thing is for them to some sort of rehaul of there's a few instances where your inputs will be eaten by another player's tag, and I think that somehow that needs to be reworked. I think that's my biggest gripe with the game.
Okay. But gameplay wise, like it's still a good game. I mean, it looks funny, but it still plays really well from what I hear.
Yeah, you know what? It's I played Marvel 3 for 7-8 years. I played Marvel 2 for 10 plus. I was playing Marvel 2 every day. I really enjoyed Infinite. I've only been playing it for maybe 6-7 months, but it's on track to be my favorite one.
Your favorite one? Wow.
Yeah, it's my favorite one.
What's the transition like been going from all the older Marvel titles and then to this one?
It's a bit rough Strider wise, because Strider they don't change his moves really. What they do is they change the inputs for them drastically. So I don't think any of his moves has shared the same input from game to game. So it takes a bit of adjusting for me to go forward and back between Marvel games just because of Strider. But besides that, I would say that from Marvel to Marvel, a lot of this one's way different. Marvel Infinite's obviously way different than the other two, but a lot of the core tenets of movement and defense and offense and all that are still intact. So I think me as a Marvel player, I feel right at home with 2 or 3 or Infinite.
Oh yeah, it's such a shame with the amount of characters that they've had for this game. Like, what's your thoughts on just the character roster in general?
I enjoy the roster. I use more characters in this game than I have in 2 or 3. So there's obviously there are some unfortunate omissions, right? But I enjoy the roster. I think Monster Hunter is like one of the sickest Marvel vs. Capcom characters that's never been in the series. Winter Soldier's awesome. Strider is, it's one of his best iterations. So there are obvious omissions. I wish Doom were in the game or Commando or something. But I like the roster.
Because there was always talk about that game being such a rushed project, and that the selection lacked variety. I mean, it would have been cool to see characters like the X-Men, the X-Men franchise.
Yeah, I'll be honest. None of that stuff really concerns me as a player. It's like the game is caught up in corporate politics, and we have to deal with it. But I'm a player before anything else, and I really enjoy the way the game plays. So that's everything else is noise to me. Like, I feel like talking about the roster, talking about how the game is doing, these are things that people who, right, like all that stuff is besides the game for me. It is besides the game. You know what I mean?
Yep, no, definitely. So I guess me asking you as a player, is Marvel ever gonna really die?
I mean, as long as people are playing, I mean, it's...
Oh, you can be honest.
No, I mean, people love to ask me this stuff. And I think what people don't realize is I don't care about that stuff. You know, I'm from the arcade. I don't give a shit about eSports or how many copies a game sells. I don't know how Marvel 2 did. You know what I mean?
You're just doing your thing.
Yeah, and so as far as I'm concerned, it's just a semantics thing. What does dead mean to you? And the internet as a collective have a million different definitions for what dead is, right? But I just came from New York playing at a tournament, you know, that had really heated competition. And since the game came out, I've flown like to 6 or 7 different tournaments to play. So, I mean, take that as you will. You know what I mean?
Yep. So, with your presence at tournaments, because you play a lot online, like you're an online warrior, but how many tournaments have you been to? Like, are there some that you, like, what are the big ones that you want to go to?
I really want to go to Combo Breaker. I've never been to Combo Breaker. I would consider going to CEO. There's one in Indianapolis that's coming up. Yeah, and I've flown to, I've been to New York, I've been to Chicago, I've been to Canada, right? A bunch of SoCal tournaments. So I really enjoy traveling, but I don't enjoy airports or airplanes anymore, to the point where I just can't stand it. With that said, I love the game that much that I've been forcing myself to travel around. Basically, when I'm approached about going to a tournament or whatever, I usually force myself to say yes, and then the week of, I'm like, man, why did I agree to go to this? And then when I have to go to the event, I have an awesome time. So that's kind of been the cycle for me in traveling in this game.
Okay. I don't know if you'll remember that far back, but you were in Australia, God, I can't even remember the year, but because you meet, you know, a lot of people that are fans who know who you are. I think you actually met a New Zealand guy. I think you might have been at a tournament in Australia around October. This is going like way back, like 5-6 years ago or something.
Yeah, I remember the person I met and all that. We took a picture together.
Yeah. Do you remember who that is?
You know what? I have a picture, and he told me that I don't remember the name. I remember the face.
Yeah. And
I believe he told me that he has a brother as well, and they both are, I guess, Strider players or Clockw0rk fans or something. But I remember he said either he said for himself or said for his brother or something. He's like, yeah, I can strike this off of my bucket list, meeting Clockw0rk.
Bang on, brother, bang on. Because because one of the two brothers, his name is Dave, and he actually runs our local tournament scene here.
Okay.
And yeah, he's such a big fan of yours, and when he found out that we were able to get you, man, yeah, crazy. So happy. Well, because when people say, oh, you know, I'm a fan of this person, it'd be great to get them on, and you know, and then they're generally like, oh wow, you got it. But I think he was well beyond happy. Yeah,
what's up, Dave? Shoutouts to you when you watch this, if and when.
Yeah, definitely shoutouts to Standing Fierce, man. They do a lot for our community, and they've come so far from when he met you till now. Like, we have majors at our, you know, we have majors in pretty much like Auckland, Hamilton, Wellington, like just all the major cities. Like, it's really grown a lot, man. I wish you could see what he's done.
You know, I'd love to visit someday, man.
Oh, you'd be another OE, please. Yes, let's get Clockw0rk on the map.
I'd love to visit. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's a bit expensive to get out to that part of the world, and luckily I won a tournament that the Shadow Showdown guys ran over here to get me out there, which is how I was able to make it out there. I had a super good time. Yeah, would love to check out New Zealand, man. I hear it's really green out there.
Hey, man, you'd be welcome with open arms, guaranteed.
Yeah.
So, we have a lot of young players entering the scene, and a lot of them won't know I'm sure a lot of them won't know this particular story, but I was wondering if you could go over the money match that you had with a certain player at the end of the Marvel 2 era.
So you mean Neo?
Yes.
Gotcha.
So how did that even come about? Like, who even stepped up and said, "Yeah, I'll do it"?
So this guy, his name's Neo. He was a new school player, and he was doing really well, and he was challenging all these people for first attends for money. Good players, but not like anyone on top, really, right?
Yeah.
And he's from Central California. He's from Bakersfield. I think he's from Bakersfield or Fresno or something. I think Bakersfield. And he had just won, like, he came off a money match. I think he played this guy named, who did he play? He played Chaos, he played my friend Wes, he played a bunch of people, and he beat these guys, and he beat this guy named Sue Mighty, who was, a Marvel 2 legend, but at the time when he played, he wasn't in practice or anything like that. Mm-hmm. And he beat this guy named Finesse at an arcade called Family Fun, and they recorded this. Or was it Finesse or Chaos? Anyway, he had been clamoring to play me. So basically his thing was, he wasn't, and of course, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is how it is, but he was not willing to play high stakes money matches against Justin, Sanford, and Yipes. These guys were, back in the day, almost untouchable. But he wanted to play against someone that was really good, that, he wasn't willing to play them because he wouldn't win, but he would challenge me because he had a chance to beat me, right? Yeah. I was out of practice. And so at the end of this video, or at the end of this money match, they're recording a video. He's like shouting. You can probably find this on YouTube still. He's shouting about, "I want Clockw0rk, let me play Clockw0rk," right? And I remember I was going through some drama at the time or whatever, so I was like, whatever, let's play, right? Yeah. Like, I'm down to play. And so they set it up at West Coast Warzone, and I remember I trained with my good friend Bill Wellman for that week in Marvel 2. I was driving over to his place. He lived like an hour away, and just staying with him and practicing Marvel 2. And they had it at this tournament called West Coast Warzone. It was the third iteration of it, and I think that Saturday we played, and this was, mind you, this was after the last Marvel 2 Evo, 2010, but this was a month before Marvel 3 was to be released. So this was considered like
a nice little kickoff, the last hoorah.
Yeah, this was considered the last big money match, and I mean, you could watch it on YouTube. I think that thing has like 500,000 views or something.
Yeah, I think it's like the full 2-hour video or something. Yeah, man, it's just insane.
It's a marathon, yeah, and I think to this day, especially when I've traveled to East Coast and all that, people will come to me and say, "Hey, yeah, man, they're watching that match. That's what got me into fighting games." Or sometimes I watch to see if you make the comeback and all that. It's really humbling to hear stuff like that. I mean, I played my heart out, couldn't quite get it. He wanted it to be first to 15 instead of first to 10 because he's good friends with Fnatic at the time, and Fnatic, he recently had this match where it was first to 15, and he was down 9-14 and came back 6 games.
Jeez.
And because of that, he told Neo, like, make that match first to 15. And the thing with me is, and with Strider Doom, you have to play with a certain intensity, and it's really hard to keep that up for a long period of time. So, eventually I ran out of steam, and I at one point I was up like 8-4, and then I kind of got worn down. My execution was off, all that, and the score ended up being 15-12 or 15-13 or something like that, 15-12.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a nuts match. I had a lot of godlike plays. I had a lot of clutch comebacks and all that.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, just my execution wasn't sharp enough to keep that up.
Did you know so you knew you had to keep that intensity for the later sets? Do you do well in longer sets, or are you you're best at a best of 3 situation? Are you good in short or long sets?
You know what? To be honest, I'm definitely better in short, just because I am. Yeah, well, it's hard to say because I think I'm fine. I'm fine playing in the long set, but what it is, and this is something that Justin Wong has told me, like that I run out of steam, and what that means is, for example, if you play at like Evo. This tournament, sometimes you have to wake up to play your pools at like 8 a.m. or something, and then semifinals won't start till like 4 or 5, and then you're playing your most important matches at the end of the night. That's a whole goddamn day that you're playing, and waiting for matches and all that. And I'm definitely a player that can cool off during that time. But if I'm constantly, if I'm playing in a match or like a long set, then, I feel pretty confident. It's just that in Marvel 2 specifically, Marvel 2 on a American, moss stick it's work, right? That thing is a workout. You have to put your weight into it. So Marvel 2, I definitely had some stamina issues when it came to keeping up the level of intensity that you need to play Strider Doom at a high level on that joystick.
Actually, come to think of it, yeah, like Evo would be the best example of pure training your tournament. Yeah, I mean, do you do anything are you a mental preparator, or do you psych yourself up before matches? What's your ritual?
You know what? I used to have rituals. I don't have any rituals. I will say though that if there are drinks around, I'll take a shot of something before I play. So I won't play so well if I'm straight sloshed, but if I have had a few drinks, I think I play a bit better. But generally, I don't have any ritual or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, some people have a smoke.
Yeah.
Or a drink. Yeah, I mean, whatever it does to help you. Yeah. Yeah,
I think, I don't believe in that kind of thing because there are going to be moments or situations where you can't do your regular ritual, and it's like, what, you're going to let that mess up your game, So I'd rather just not have anything, just go into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So would you ever do, let's just say hypothetically, because I don't think another 15,000 US money match, would that ever, if that was to come again, despite the outcome, before, what would you even consider it?
Yeah, of course. I'm always down to play.
Oh man, 15,000 US. That's a wow. On a game, on a set, jeez, man, that's bravery, man. No one around here would do it.
I mean, I'll be honest. It wasn't $15,000 out of my pocket, right? I'm not an idiot, and I'm not rich by any means. However, pretty much all my, everyone that I knew, everyone was at that match. Everyone came to watch that match. It was big boxing match type of deal, right?
Yeah.
And a consequence of that is all my friends are there, and these guys are all putting, I have a friend that put down 300, a friend that put down two G's, right?
Wow, you had the side bets.
Yeah, so these people are putting down, this is serious money. I mean, at least, all things, generally, serious money. And, it's one thing losing my own money, it's another thing losing someone else's money, right? So...
And then blaming you for it, yeah.
Well, not blame necessarily. Everyone, had a good time in the match, thought it was a great match. But at the same time, I'm not trying to lose anyone's money, right? So I'm going to try my best to win, of course. And the thing is, not even with just huge money matches, but just competition in general, right? How often do people's hearts really get beating? You know what I mean? Or get their adrenaline going? And competition is one way to do that, right? And, that's something worth experiencing and living for, I think.
Well, money matches do add a different taste to the FGC platter, eh? I quite enjoy money matches, at least salty money matches, the run back or someone that wants to prove, no, I'm not that bad.
Yeah. If you put something on the line, right, then that money is the easiest thing to put on the line to make someone play seriously.
Well, if you had to money match someone right now, who would come?
Right now?
Yeah, who's the first person that comes to mind?
See, it depends, because I'm not really one to challenge people. right? Any of the big money matches or big matches I play, it's usually because they challenged me, and I'm not back down from that. So, with that said, the two people that have given me the hardest time in Marvel Infinite recently, I've gotten second place to both of them at major tournaments. One of them is Dual Kevin, which just recently he beat me 3-2 in grand finals in New York, and then Chris G, who I played at Winter Brawl in Philly, who he also 3-2'd me in grand finals. I didn't get the reset on either of them.
Jesus.
So I would say those are the two guys that I would like to beat in Marvel right now.
Chris G, man, he's a phantom. He's been around for donkey's years, just like you.
You know what? From what I understand, so Chris G, you know, I don't think people consider him old school because he wasn't really in the scene per se until Marvel 3. But from what I understand, he used to be a player back in the day at Chinatown Fair in New York. He just wasn't, no one started to get like really, really good or really known, I should say, until Marvel 3. But from what I understand, he's been around for a bit.
Back in the arcade days. Do you miss the arcades at all, man?
Yeah, absolutely. I miss the arcades a lot, and that's something that at least here in the States, that's never going to come back. That feeling, it's never going to be there again for a lot of reasons, but that's fine, right? It's just contextual. It's a different day. But yeah, I miss arcades. I miss having a hub to go to for everyone to just show up and play, and not have there be any not having to, coordinate to go to someone's house or invite them to yours. I don't know. There's people in my house. I don't know who this guy is.
Exactly. Now it's just like online chats.
And
it's just like online chats and Discord servers.
Yeah. And I think something missing from casual play these days that the arcade was really good for was, it costs money. It costs just a quarter to play, right? But it's two things. One, it costs a quarter, and two, if you lost, you have to go to the back of the line. And those two things automatically put something on the line and force you to, now, you'll have a session of 8 people, for example, 4 setups, and you'll just have, a pair of people on each setup just smashing rematch over and over and over, playing mindlessly, nothing on the line, right? And not even getting to play other people in the session. You're just playing against that guy that you're rematching over and over and over. And I think from what I've seen, that's definitely a thing at sessions these days, and it's not something that would happen in the arcade. Winner stays on. If you lose, go to the back of the line, and you have to watch the games until it gets to your turn.
Yeah, you have to watch and see, who you have to improve against. Yeah,
why are they winning and all that, right? But now, again, if there's 8 people at a session, it will just be 4 pairs of players just hitting rematch over and over. And there's something about that it's not conducive to proper practice.
Yeah, no, definitely, bro. Well, we'll just have a little break for now, just for our listeners. So yeah, stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hello there everyone who's been listening in and those who have joined in. I've got my guest Clockw0rk with me. So I'll just pick it up. Sup, man? What's your what have you done for jobs? Have you ever been I'm trying to lead into it. Have you ever been a teacher at all?
So how do I say this? So I have taught at schools before, but I'm not a credentialed teacher. So legally, I'm not allowed to say that I'm a teacher. But I did teach for an academic after-school program. The only difference is I could only have the students from 4 to 6 hours a day, as opposed to the full 8 hours that a regular teacher does. But I had to do lesson plans. I had my own classroom full of 30 students every single day, and I did that for about 3 to 4 years. And I'm familiar with. I have experience working with 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade. But yeah, I did that for a time. I'm not doing it anymore. I do have some teaching experience, and I'm confident that I could be a full-fledged teacher if I wanted to.
What made you want to do teaching? Was it just, do you love working with the children or being an educator?
It was a combination of circumstance, and I know I could be good at it. And I will say that of all the jobs I've had, that's definitely the most different and probably challenging job I've ever had. And I think that there's a difference between working with students and working with adults, in that I think adults, I feel like a lot of times they have their own little motivations and aims and goals and all that, as opposed to children who they do have, like at most they'll have like maybe petty motivations and all that, but they've not yet been chiseled by life and reality. So it's a different perspective in just life in general when you're with children, I think.
Did any of them ever get under your skin? Like piss you off?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Of course. That goes without saying. But with that said, these are. Anytime I was working that job, I would see these kids more than anyone else in my life, including my family. So just for the school year, that was my family, and yeah, I loved all my students for sure.
I ask if you were a teacher because looking into you, I heard that you ran. I don't know if it's true, but did I hear that you ran your own tournament and that you got like big players at the time to sign up to it?
So around 2013 or 14, maybe 13 or 12, I stopped working at that job, and but I still wanted to give back to that community. So what I did was I ran a charity tournament, and I got a bunch of players to come out. We did Marvel 3 and cross Tekken. And the point was to raise money for the after-school program, which has very limited funding. A lot of times the teachers are, and this goes for regular day too, is the teachers are paying for supplies and all this out of their own pocket, that kind of thing. And so I wanted to raise money for the entire program, which encompassed 13 schools in the school district, to give them money for supplies and for to run events and all that. And it was a huge success. We raised like $25,000. We were trending on Twitter worldwide for 8 hours, and it was a great turnout. We gave away a lot of prizes, and yeah, it was awesome. It was called Fight for Youth, and we even I even had help from my buddy Ian, who was doing cross counter at the time, film, document some of the prep for the tournament and the tournament itself. Yeah, it was pretty awesome. You can find that on YouTube, I think.
Ah, sweet, man. Did the kids know that you were into... did they know your deceptive facade being Clockw0rk?
I mean, they knew that played video games and I was into games, but I don't think they cared that I played fighting games or anything. Like I didn't play like these kids. They play like Call of Duty.
Oh god, Call of Duty Battlefield, man. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and like Minecraft and all that. It's like it's kind of not my thing. So I don't think they didn't care as much as you'd think they would. So I didn't really.
But that's still quite nice doing a fundraiser, man. Like that, I'm sure that would have got a lot of support. I'm assuming.
Yeah, you know what? It went really well. It went so well to the point where I had like organizations calling me asking me to do the same thing for their organizations. Like, nah, I don't know, you guys. People trying to just have me be a face to raise money for them. So I didn't agree to any of those. But ACES Prep, which is the program that I was teaching for, they were they had a bunch of good. It was a good program and had a lot of good people working for it, so I just wanted to help.
No, that's cool, man. That's really cool. Do you come from quite a big family at all?
I come from a family of 5, just typical. Two older brothers, mom and dad.
Oh yeah. Were you a good child growing up at all? You weren't mean to your siblings?
I mean, I'm the youngest, so they were mean to me. You know what I mean? But no, I love my brothers and my parents. I can't complain about my family.
Do you consider anyone in the FGC family at all? Like, is there anyone that you really get along with?
I mean, there's a lot of people that I could sit here forever telling you about all the great people that I know and meet and all that. It's probably too much for this. I will say that. My current roommate, who we've been roommates for like 4 years now, my friend Bill Wellman, he's someone that I met through Marvel, and yeah, he's that dude. I'll say that much.
The dude.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool, man. But do you socialize with a lot of the players outside the competitive scene? Like, just at least hang out with them?
You know what? I used to do that way more back in the day. These days, if I do that, it's with some of the older players. Like when I was in New York just recently, I was hanging out with like Yikes and Dominion, Chris Matrix. These guys are, they're old school.
Old school, yeah.
We're from the same generation, so I find that if I'm hanging out with anyone outside the scene, it's usually because they're from the same generation. Otherwise, that's those guys have their own thing going on.
Yeah. So like the younger generation, they're the mystery to you. They're off doing their own thing.
Not so much a mystery. It's just that it's obvious when if it's outside of games, then the age discrepancy becomes obvious to whoever's older, I feel. So, yeah. But with that said, I love all the new guys, the new generation. We're in SoCal and all that. They're all cool.
Well, you've just said you don't really have a thing for esports. You don't really care about it. But what are your thoughts with these new players that have come up and then in no time they get signed up to, like Evil Geniuses, Echo Fox, like even that kid Sonic Fox, like to kind of have it all in that short period of FGC time. Like what does that say to you as a veteran?
I mean, I respect high level play more than anything else. And so a lot of those guys are, the world-class players and, deserve the accolades.
Would you ever consider going, doing something else? Like, like do you have a passion project lined up when you finally transition away from fighting games? Or are you going to be playing a warrior forever?
I haven't been playing this long, so I thought that I would be stopping about now, but I haven't. It's just it's difficult with I don't have as much time as I used to, and I don't have as much it's not that my drive has went down to compete, it's that I feel like I used to be one of the kids in the scene, when I first came in, and now I'm one of the, like, any given tournament, Marvel Infinite tournament that I enter, you know what I mean? So it's difficult for me to to carve out time and effort to compete. And that's why I like Marvel Infinite so much, because the online is so good that I don't have to go anywhere to play. I feel like the online play is legitimate. You could have a tournament on this, and whoever's playing the best that day will win.
Because I mean, you play fighting games, but you're a streamer as well.
You know what? I didn't start streaming until Marvel Infinite came out. So I wouldn't say I'm necessarily a streamer, because I haven't really put the kind of effort that a real streamer puts into it, right? Like I don't try to make money off of it. I don't have like a fancy overlay. I barely even stream from my PC. I just kind of turn it on PS4. So I mean, I guess I'm a streamer, but I kind of just stream for fun, right? If I'm playing, I might as well turn the stream on.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
But I mean, it's interesting how... No, it's all good, man. I was just saying, like, it's interesting how... Because we've had Justin Wong on this platform, and I was just telling him, you know, it's interesting how people know you from afar. Like, because someone told me that, you know, you're quite a well-known player, but you're not the most prolific player, if I'm saying it in all due respect. But have you had any outrageous people kind of come out to you? Like, oh, you know, I'm a big fan of yours. Yeah, Clockw0rk.
Yeah, it's definitely happened a lot. Yeah, it's always humbling when people tell me that they've been watching me since. Well, it makes me feel old. I've had a few people tell me, yeah, I grew up watching you play. Like, oh man, don't say that. But you know, the truth is, I was playing Marvel 2 in 2000. You know what I mean? And that was freaking 18 years ago. So my quote-unquote Marvel career is old enough to drink and smoke in the U.S. You know what I mean? Oh wait, no, not drink and smoke. That's 21. Old enough to join the army, drive, and buy porn at the store.
Buy porn.
18,
man, that's a long history.
But yeah, it's always humbling when I hear people tell me, "Oh yeah, you're like, girl, you're my Christian player. You're the reason I play fighting games," and it's something that always surprises me, I guess, when it happens. But I've been around forever, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if they were ever to write a FGC history book, you know, then I'm sure you'd be definitely a footnote at least. You know, people like you and Justin Wong, like they should probably do that. They should actually make some kind of like FGC history lore book or something.
Yeah, there would only be a few people that are qualified to write that book. But
you need the proper people.
It won't be any of those people writing it, right?
Yeah. Nah. Well, just a fun question. Do you have any interesting stories on players? Any dirty laundry tales? Oh, you know, like Justin had one where him and Daigo were trying to get chicken nuggets late at night, and they ended up getting like visited by the police.
Oh shit, man! Man.
You live life on the edge.
I don't know if there's any stories that I'd be willing or should share on this podcast.
Nah, it's all good, man.
Maybe if we have a private conversation, I can tell you.
That's all right. Well, have you been in a complicated situation, like in a tournament? Like a controller disconnect or someone popping off, and I don't know.
How about this? I'll say that there's this one time where, you know what, stuff like this has happened a few times. This is off the top of my head. I'm sure there are more interesting stories than this. I was at this event in Irvine. It's a city over here, and some of my buddies said, "Hey, we're gonna go play at my place afterwards. So it was Marvel 3. You should stop by." I was like, "All right, cool." It was my buddy. He had a new place, so I went over there. And so this is like a closed, gated community. So you know, you go in, you get buzzed in or whatever. And I parked, and the thing is, I didn't know exactly where it was. But I don't know if you've been to any big tournament. Usually you hear buttons, right?
Yeah.
So I was, you know, following my ear, I should say, for buttons. So I was walking around a few houses down, and I heard buttons, and I heard like Nova, and I heard Frank West and all that. So I was like, oh, okay, they're here. So I went to the door and knocked on the door, and some guy answers the door that I've never seen before, and he was like, "Hey, Clockw0rk," and I was like, is this so-and-so's place? And he was like, no, I think he lives like down the way. And I was like, oh, damn, you want to play anyway? So I went inside, and these two strangers I'd never met before, they play Marvel, and they know how to play. So I sat down and started playing with them. And I remember I got a call on my phone saying, hey, dude, like, where you at? Like what happened? I was like, I don't know, I'll call you back. I'm playing.
Wow.
And it turns out these guys were just, they also went to UCI, which is UC Irvine, and UC Irvine is known for, they have a decent fighting community there at university. And these guys were students at the university, and they lived in the same place that my buddy lived, but they were not part of like the set. They just so happened that they were playing Marvel like that day, you know, with the door open so I can hear the buttons, but it was not the session I was looking for.
I think we all have an acute ear for the games that we love. Like, we can hear the background noise of like Kazuya or Dante or something, and then it's just like, ooh, I hear a fighting game.
Another force and all that. So it was. I thought that was where the games were happening, and it was where the games were happening, but not the session I was in.
God, that's so brave though, just to walk into a stranger, just like, oh yeah, I'll just have some sets with you, and him just opening the door, knowing who you are.
Yeah, I mean, because the whole reason was that he knew who I was. He's like, oh hey, Clockw0rk, and I was like, okay, well, he knows who I am, so that's probably down to play. Like, it's not a big.
I know you already said that you don't care about your thoughts about MvCI and stuff, and I'm sure you've been asked this a lot, but the Evo absence of that game, did that touch a nerve to you at all?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think it wasn't even so much. Again, Marvel Infinite, it's a game that's got caught up in corporate politics that have nothing to do with us, as players or the scene or anything like that, and it's really unfortunate. So I'm sure that, and I said this publicly, like I'm sure that there's plenty of reasons why the game's not at Evo. There's like money and sponsors involved, and now there's like huge. There's huge IP issues and Marvel and Disney and all that. So, whatever, right? I think what pissed me off, I think the issue for me personally was not that Marvel's not at Evo, because Marvel's going to be at Evo. There's going to be people there playing. There's going to be a huge side tournament and all that. That's not the issue. The issue for me is when Mr. Wizard publicly said on the Twitch stream with a Evo reveal with, tens of thousands of people watching, he said, the reason why Marvel's not at Evo is like, I think it doesn't seem like people are playing.
Wow.
And
yeah.
That's what pissed me off. And it's like Evo claims to be this beacon of the scene and being welcoming to new players and all that. Well, it's like, well, what about all these people? What about the 100 people that I just saw at Canada Cup that were playing this game, and the people that have been traveling and playing, and all the people that play online and all that? It's like it really pissed me off when he said that. And it's like, not only did everyone hear that, but then this thing was published in like gaming publications and all that, when it's obviously a lie. It is, yeah, a huge lie. And you're just gonna say that like in front of everybody, and it really pissed me off.
You got triggered, eh?
And it got me disillusioned with the scene, to be honest. It's like, well, if people in charge are going to be acting like this and blatantly lie, and everyone's going to be, and the thing is, everyone was cool with it. Like, I feel like I'm one of few people who called that out, and it really got me disillusioned with the scene, and it really got me to reinforce, double down on my stance that I don't give a shit about, So I'll say this, and I don't mean for anyone to take this the wrong way.
No, you're all good, man.
But when back in the day, when we played at the arcades and we're competing and all that, that was the most important thing, was that you were a player, right? If you were, and I felt like that's what drew me to fighting games, was that, especially back in the day, it was truly a meritocracy, right? The players that got respect were the players that were good, and everyone else had to climb that mountain, like try to dethrone whoever was on top. But now when you have eSports involved and you have money involved, you get people who are, you know, not. It doesn't matter if they're like not good at the game, right? So we're trying to be like an inclusive scene or whatever. But when you have people like don't even care about the scene or don't even care about the games, and you have people who are just trying to make a buck or have all these other motivations that are not getting good at the game, then that's whack to me. It's so whack. And I think what happens when you pump money into any scene or anything like this is you get people who are not there. Like, what the thing that's most important to me is just getting good at the game and developing your style and trying to be the best. And everything besides that, it's so whack to the point that it disgusts me. Like when you have these people who are in charge who aren't about the game or the players, and people are afraid to speak their mind because they don't want to step on toes, burn bridges, and all that. It's just the whole thing is just whack to me. You know what I mean? And so that's why I stick to competing. You know, and it's unfortunate because I know I can make a difference as far as like helping organize, being this, you know, public figure or whatever. But it's like that stuff is just all that stuff is besides the game. Once you start adding everything else, it's politics. It's who's popular, it's who has influence, who has money, who does this, who does that, and it's like that. All that shit is whack to me. You know what I mean?
No, I do, man. I think you're onto something as well, because, like, just hearing what you've said, you know, like, a lot of people, like, even from the outside, just think, oh, you know, eSports, it's just, you know, it's about the sponsorship and being promoted, and it's like, no, it's so much more than that. You're right, it's the politics, it's having that sense of creativity being controlled. I mean, the thing that got me about EVO was when they were announcing the list, and, you know, they had that glass table with the hats underneath?
Yeah.
They had the Marvel hat. I think at some point it got swapped out and then it went to a different coloured hat, and I'm like thinking, wow, like they are really throwing this game to the side.
Yeah, it's just like it I don't know. Like I don't. If it's outside of the game, it's politics, and I'm not interested. Basically,
yeah.
I guess that makes me like a snobbish, like purist or something like that. But fighting games are fighting games, man. And fighting games are about, you know, competing with others, right? Self-growth and all that.
You know, I agree with you. I respect your comment. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to like, and the thing is that it's two sides. I understand both sides of it, because really my view of it, it's something of exclusion, right? Where only the good players are the ones that demand respect. And you know it's an old school way of thinking, and new school is like, well, you want to be inclusive, even if you're not good at the game. There's other things you can do. You can help organize. You can do videos, or teach, or you know, stuff like that. And when it comes to sponsorships, you know, you can be like a personable player and all this. And I understand all of that, right? That's what comes with being inclusive, right? You want to, you know, grow the scene. And I understand that, right? But I'm from the arcade, you know, and when it comes to the arcade, you know, players come first and skills are what matter.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, the one thing that gets to me about esports is you have young players that do get sponsorship, and that's cool, but the fact is that they're not really the ambassador, they're not really the good ambassador that I think the FGC deserves. Like, they pretty much just become about themselves. They don't really give back to the community. It's all about, you know, them, their image, and how many titles they can accumulate, which kind of ties into what you said, you know, about that idea of, you know, just being in total control of their own situation. But it's like, you're right, you know, in the arcade it was different. You know, you grew up harder, in a harder, stronger environment. And yeah, you're right, it was about the game, it was about the players. It wasn't about who got the highest paid sponsor to send them to how many tournaments yearly, you know?
Yeah, and you know, I'm not gonna say that I've never gotten involved in money when it comes to fighting games. You know, I've gotten paid for gigs and all that stuff, and I've found employment through fighting games and all that. But when it comes to, I think what I'll say is, for me, just competition is paramount. And I think that when competition is paramount, and I think Evo was built upon competition being paramount, you know? And I think for them to just lie, right, and be deceitful about people not playing the game, I think it was just, it put me off so bad.
No, that's cool.
And it put me off so bad that people weren't outraged about it.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you wouldn't have been the only one, man. I mean, I don't play Marvel as a game. I do like watching it. But its absence at EVO is really, it was very disturbing. And I mean, the talk about the game being removed from Steam, PlayStation Store, and, you know, on apparently October this year, like, you know, that pretty much marks the end of that era. But you're right, we should be focusing more on the players and just the scene in general.
Yeah, you know what, and again, like, right, EVO is their tournament, they can do as they please, so I'm not even knocking them for not having it, right? That's not the point. The point is what he said about the players, which is essentially that they actually weren't playing, they actually didn't go out to those tournaments, and they don't exist. And that was whack.
Nah, it's all good, man. Well,
but yeah, you know, I do this for fun. You know what I mean? Like, I don't get paid for playing or anything like that. I don't make money off of playing. So that's why I don't care about all this politics and esports and all that, because my livelihood does not depend on this kind of thing.
Yeah.
But there are players who they try to make their livelihood around it, and I respect that. And that's fine. Do what you love. But it's at odds with my view of fighting games and it being about competition and players.
Yeah. No, that's I've really enjoyed that little segment, man. Yeah, I think like just the view on esports for me in general has changed. Like kind of doing this podcast, just hearing like, you know, people's opinions, like the overseas opinions, as well as seeing it, especially the Evo game announcement kind of shifted my opinion towards it.
Yeah, esports is so lame.
It's because we're old, you know, like we're just like, oh come on, we can do better than this, you know, better than branding. And
it wouldn't even be, it's not necessarily bad to pump money into something, right? You know, whatever, but it's like, look at the quality of a lot of this esports stuff. It's like, it's so obviously stale. It's so obviously like, there's like soulless in a lot of ways, or like pretentious and all that. It's like the scene is strong enough to have events and showcase matches and all that without any of the lame esports fluff. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm just ranting.
No, it's good, man. It's good, man. That's what we want. We want your ranting.
I'm just talking shit.
Hey, whatever, man. It's all. Hey, it's esports. Who cares? Cool. Well, we're just going to take our final break now. So, yeah, don't go away. You know, don't jump out of the house just yet. We will be right back.
Kia ora. This is Wooly Wolves, and you're listening to the Salt Shaker Podcast.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for those that have been listening, and to those who have just joined in. I've got my guest Clockw0rk with us.
What's up?
Hey, what's up, man? And we're just gonna wind up. This is our third segment. So, Clockw0rk, do you have anything that you want to accomplish this year? Like, by the end of 2017, you want this done?
You mean 2018?
Oh god, 2018. Oh my god, yep. I'm living living in the past. Yeah, is there something you want to do this year that you want to tick off?
I'd have to think about it. I mean, Marvel-wise, I would like to, improve 2 or 3 fold than my current level. I'd like to beat Chris or Kevin or whoever I play in grand finals and whatever majors I go to. That's for sure. Yeah, I don't know. I'm really bad about setting goals and stuff like that, so I'd have to think about it. Sorry for that.
No, it's cool. Are you more that person that sets a goal a week? Like you kind of look no further than the week?
No, not so much that. I think I just don't operate like that, which is something I should probably work on, right? Setting like long-term goals as far as like what I'm trying to accomplish and all that. I don't know.
Okay. Well, I guess I should probably mention this now. It's the best time. We have our second major happening this year, called Waikato Arena Rampage, which is happening in Hamilton, and we actually have a grudge match, a money match planned with 2 players over here. And it's nothing big. It's only $100 New Zealand, which is nothing.
That's cool.
But I want to ask you, because one player uses Ultron and Dante, and the other player uses Dante and Thanos. So they got Dante, they just switched the order, and they both like using the Reality Stone.
Yeah.
If both players were of equal skill level, like say yourself, who would you give the edge to? So Ultron and Dante versus a Dante and a Thanos. Both have the Reality Stone. I'm just assuming this is going to be their pick, because this is what they usually do. This is their usual lineup.
It's hard to say.
It's hard to say, but I just was like thinking, who would you give it to?
It's hard to say because I don't really know what Thanos is capable at the highest level. So I'll say that if the Thanos player shows up, that he I'll say if he's a character specialist, he's a Thanos specialist, then he'll win. If he's not a Thanos specialist, then he's gonna lose.
So only if he's a Thanos specialist that you'll give him the edge.
That's correct.
Okay.
Like if he's the kind of player that plays Marvel because he loves Thanos and he plays Thanos because he's in the game, then I think he has a chance to win.
Okay.
But I'd have to see him play.
Yeah, no, I'm just getting your opinion. Like Ultron as a character, he's quite strong, is he?
Yeah, he's strong and he has good mobility, but he takes a bit of work. And Thanos, he has potential, but I think high level. I've seen very little high level Thanos play. I've seen it, and I've got my ass kicked by it. But if I had to take a guess, I would say that unless the Thanos player is a Thanos specialist, where Thanos is his best character and he's never going to switch away, then the Ultron player is probably going to win. But I would have to see him play it. That's without me seeing them play, right?
Yeah. I'm just getting even playing field. Like if they were both equal, they were using these characters. That's the stone. Like who would you give it to?
Yeah, it's hard to say. The game's early, and I'm a optimist when it comes to characters' potential. So the obvious answer would be the Ultron player would win. But
the Ultron player, okay.
But it's not so obvious, right? So I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's all good. Well, do you even what? I'm assuming because you play the game Marvel vs. Capcom. Are you into any of the comics at all, like the movies?
I'm into the movies. I mean, I just watched Thor Ragnarok on the airplane the other week, and it was good.
Now that was directed by a New Zealand guy. So how did you enjoy that?
No, it was good. It was better than most of the other ones I've seen recently. Like Doctor Strange was alright, it was whatever. And then I didn't like any of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, even though they're funny, but I don't really care for them.
Oh.
But it was good because it had decent writing and a coherent story, so that's already asking a lot from blockbuster movies these days. But I enjoyed it. I'd be lying if I said I was like a huge Marvel Comics fan, right?
Yeah.
But I like movies.
Nah, definitely the movies are easier. Definitely the favorite character over here for that film was the Rock guy, Korg.
Yeah, because that's the director, right?
Yeah, that's his voice.
Yeah.
So
he's from New Zealand. That's
yeah,
his accent from New Zealand. That's cool, man.
So yeah, definitely, man. So if you liked his humor, then you will love New Zealand 100%. That's what you're in store for. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds good. Like, the character's very likable.
So, like, with Infinity War coming out in April or May, are you quite... Who do you think's going to kick the bucket in that film?
I don't know. You know, I'm not really one that speculates, like, what's going to happen in movies and shows and all that. I just, like, watch it when it comes out, that's all.
Who's your favorite Marvel character, then?
Jeez. Favorite Marvel character of all time or from...
Whatever.
Jeez. I don't know. I'm a Doctor Doom fan as far as, I like the character, but I'd say in the movies, jeez, I don't know. Captain America's pretty cool. I don't know.
Okay, so Captain America.
I don't think I feel strongly enough to give you a good answer.
No, that's cool, man. That's all good. Okay, well, I guess I just have a question. It's a basic question we ask every guest. Who is your fighting game waifu?
Fighting game waifu?
Yeah.
Monster Hunter.
Wow, really? That easy?
Yeah, she's awesome. She's besides Strider, she's probably my favorite character in the game. She's awesome. She's pure. Yeah, we have to protect her.
Because I love the outfit that they gave Ken for Street Fighter, which is the Monster Hunter outfit. She looks so cool in that game. Yeah,
you know what? It has to be that outfit, that color, that face. I know, Monster Hunter, she's just... the one in Marvel's Capcom is just like a generic face, but that if I were to play Monster Hunter, it would have to be that armor, and that face, and that voice, and all that. Yeah, I really like the Monster Hunter character in my life.
Okay. Well, okay, I wouldn't have thought that. I actually would have thought... Well, I would have thought, like, Gamora, at least.
Nah, Monster Hunter. Bigger sword is, man.
Yeah, I know. Don't want to piss her off.
Yeah, serious.
Okay. Well, before we wind things up, I just want to thank you for, accepting being on the podcast. Is there anything you want to say to finish up? Anything you want to say to your New Zealand fans? Any shout-outs? Any declarations of, I don't know, salt to anyone?
No. Just, I don't know. Thanks for listening, I guess. I worked on a game recently, and it got released 2 months ago. It's called Final Fantasy 15 Pocket Edition. So,
yes, you were the combat designer for that game, weren't you?
Yeah. So if anyone's listening, if you want, please check out the game. Let me know what you think. You might not be the intended audience, but that's alright. Let me know what you think about the combat and things.
No, well, definitely. Final Fantasy 15, the Pocket Edition.
Yeah.
What made you want to create that?
Oh, it's something that I got hired on to do, and I heard that. Once I heard it was Final Fantasy, I was there in a matter of 2 weeks to work on it, and the team worked really hard on it, and it's gotten really good reviews. I think it had for like 3 million downloads or something. So I'm really proud of it. I usually am not someone that like puts my business out there like that. Like I even have it in Twitter profile and all that, but the team really worked hard on it, and I just want people to play it. Yeah, no, for sure. It definitely needs some attention. Well, actually, speaking of Final Fantasy 15, did you ever check out Noctis for Tekken 7? No, not for Tekken 7, but I use him in Dissidia. Oh, in Dissidia? Oh, yeah. No, that's cool, man. Yeah. But I haven't checked him out in 7. I hear he's really cool. It's kind of strange that he's in Tekken instead of Soul Calibur, but, whatever. I'm sure it's fine. Yeah, a lot of people were just saying, yeah, he belongs in a Soul Calibur game. Yeah, I mean, maybe he'll be in Soul Calibur as well. Yeah. I mean, I won't complain. I think Noctis is cool. Would you touch Soul Calibur 6 when it comes out? I'll try it out. I used to play Soul Calibur back in the day. I used to play all fighting games back in the day. I'll check it out for sure.
Oh, that's cool, man. Well, thank you again for joining us, bro.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
No, for sure. We have a drawing of you and a little something that we give out to people as a thank you. So we'll send that to you via Twitter or whatever, man.
Oh, sick, dude.
Sweet.
Thank you so much.
Nah, it's all good. And thank you to those who have been listening. Yeah, we will see you at war.
Yep, see you there.
In spirit. Okay, we'll catch you all later.
See ya.